Hello and welcome to this very early edition of Let's Talk Tarot. I am drinking coffee and not tea because it is so early and quite bright, but I have received a box in the post, so please stay tuned as I unbox the tarot of surrealist artist and author Leonora Carrington. Hey guys, so I think we can all agree I've probably looked better on one of these videos. I've not been too well over the last 24 hours. I received this box in the post yesterday morning, and since then I've had a bit of a migraine, so I will probably be a jittery and can't quite get my words all the time through this video. However, this could not wait any longer. It's been sitting on the table with its little silvery sign saying the Tarot of Leonora Carrington, IBIS edition, and it's been luring me to the point where I've just had to do it. So here I am with a cup of coffee in hand, just trying to kind of get through this. So what is this? Well, Leonora Carrington was a surrealist artist and author who is known as being one of the last living surrealists. She died in about 2011, and in her lifetime she hung out with people like Mwxx and Andre Breton, so lots of influences. She wouldn't probably describe herself as a surrealist, but her work definitely falls into that kind of category. There's an awful lot of occult and esoteric influences. She was fascinated with the occult. She was fascinated by folklore and folk tales and little magical stories, and she also wrote little stories about magic and bits, some of which are children's books, some of which are not children's books. So she lived a very varied life. Her work is pretty scattered all over the place. I only became aware of her about 15 or so years ago through other people that were just crazy about her, and I was kind of late to catch on. But her work is quite a lot of it is in private hands and some of it is in galleries, and because she's not really had so much of a spotlight, not much of her work, or not the full breadth of her work, is known and realised. That's, if that makes sense. So one of the authors of the book of this, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, but it's Tare Arc or Tere Arc. She went over to a private collector in Mexico and found these, well, she was looking for something else, but she found these 22 paintings of the major arcana, and no one was really aware that Leonora Carrington did a tarot. So this was quite a big and bold discovery, and quite an exciting discovery. So what came out of that is this project. This has been picked up by Fulgur Press. Fulgur Press is an occult publishers, and I don't want to say indie because I think that would be too limiting. They are the occult art publisher. So if it is occult and arty, Fulgur should be doing it. They are well known for Austin Osman's spare prints, as well as now this Leonora Carrington stuff. They have their focus is on books that have a very fine detail on the reproduction of artwork. The colours are perfectly printed, the details are perfectly shown, and their focus and love goes into that artwork. I remember, and this is going 2004, 2005, so it might be a bit old. I remember that Robert Ansel was telling me why their printing is special, and I think it was something to do with most public printers use 6 colours and they use 7 or 8 colours, something like this. I'm not a printing expert, but what I'm trying to say is that their attention to detail with artwork is special and specialist. So Fulgur Press has kind of got this market in occulty artwork and arty occult work. Makes sense? Cool. Okay, we're going to have a look at it. So they did this, so I'm pretty excited. So it should be reproduced beautifully, and there should be an attention to detail. This was a little bit late coming to me. I ordered it last September. I don't know, last year anyway. And it was supposed to come before Christmas. They delayed the whole thing because they weren't happy with the production of the boxes. So they returned them all and then delayed it. So I have only just received this. It was delayed because it wasn't up to the standards that they wanted, which always gives a good sign. So let me show you what it is. It is this. This is Fulgur Press here. I did jump onto their mission statement and noted this is the sentence I think sums them up as a press. Fulgur has revived the esoteric book as an artistic medium, and I totally agree with them. The couple of books that I have from Fulgur Press is really very much on this arty reproduction and beautiful reproduction at the same time. So this is now out of stock. They were selling this in two different ways. They were selling the Major Arcana only, and this IBIS edition that also came with the book and everything else. The book and everything else, this edition was £150, and it was limited to 276 copies, which sold out pretty fast. The deck sold out even faster. I think the deck was £30 for Major's Art only, which is pretty good going for a limited edition arty press indie kind of thing. But I think they sold out 70% of their stock within a few days, like 4 days or something. So it went really fast, so much so that they are doing a second printing, and you can be put on the waiting list for this second printing. So if this looks like your thing and your jam, look for I'll put a link below to where you can kind of sign up for the second printing. The bit that excited me a lot was this introductory booklet by Rachel Pollack, because I hugely fangirl over Rachel Pollack. Her fiction work, sci-fi fiction work is fantastic. Her comic book stuff is great, and she's one of the top end tarotists there is. So this is what I've got in front of me. This book that's printed with a white silk binding, and more importantly, the deck. If I can scroll across and find a picture of the deck. Oh, there's a picture from it. No, that's going to be the best picture there is then. So this kind of hard case box, a book, a tarot deck that has silver gilt edging. I think that's only in the IBIS edition. I think the plain deck edition didn't have the gilt edging, the silver edging. So that's what we're looking at. So yeah, £150, expensive, but it's not the most expensive. You can get artisan decks that cost more than that. I have been ogling some artisan decks at $200 or €200. So this is not expensive. It is probably out of most people's price range, but they will do the deck as well, which is £30, which is doable. I don't know how usable the deck is. That is something that I want to look at. I've only seen limited pictures of this deck in front of me, so I don't really know what all the cards are going to look like, and whether it's more artwork or whether I can actually use this deck in readings, and we will find that out. And I will probably put me playing around with readings on the Patreon. So if you are not part of my Patreon, go and sign up to it. You're going to get me trying to read from this deck when I get around to uploading it. So here we go. Let's have a look. So it came in, this was the inner cardboard box. I took the outer postage box. It has this nice silver stamp on it. and it's, other than that, it's pretty nondescript. It really is. I'm just going to move my camera a little bit around. So this end open. It's been stuck down by double-sided tape. That's why it came open quite easily. Oh! And we have a big black box. Let me just hold that up to camera so you can see it. It's huge. Oh, it's got lettering down the side, the Tarot of Leonora Carrington. It is pretty heavy. It is not a light thing, and it has that lovely, oh, can I zoom in? Lovely Fulgur Press, not quite monogram there. Anyway, so that's how it is. Let's open it up. If this rustling is really loud on the mic, I'm sorry. Take it as some weird ASMR stuff. Right, so here we are. It's like a book slipcase. You know how like some of the encyclopedias are? Yeah, so it's a book slipcase. Oh, don't know quite how to pull it open very easily, but there you go. So it's a book slipcase like this. Really well made, pretty heavy duty. I do note there is a little scuff here, but it's minor. Oh, very nicely made. So we are seeing some very nice small details. So this is a very hard card slipcase. Let me just move my coffee over. Silver embossed moon there, which I hope has kind of come lifted from the tarot, and it's just like a very big book. So let me just hold it up to the main cam. So this is huge, and then it just opens up like this, and we've got the book slipped inside. Okay, I don't know why I do sound effects every single time I change the camera, but you'll have to deal with it. So here we go, the Tarot of Leonora Carrington, white silk, covered book, and then we've got this lovely insert. You can't quite see that, but this is actually an insert, so it's been printed and then set into an embossed rectangle, so it's flush, but it's well printed. So this has got to be the moon card. It can't be anything else. The tarot itself has apparently been based on Mwxx deck and the Rider-Waite-Smith, but we shall see. So this is the book. That is the signing, 45 out of 276. I'm just touching the inside case, it's lovely. Signed by both of them. And this is the quality of the imagery inside. Really highly detailed, beautifully printed. The page is brilliant, nice quality archival paper. And the contents of this, I won't go too much through this like I normally do, just because it's huge and it's pretty hard to get on camera. Leonora's Inner Compass by Gabriel Weiss Carrington. Major Arcana by Leonora Carrington, and As in a Mirror with Multiple Facets, Leonora Carrington and the Tarot by the two main authors, Susan Abberth and Tare Ark. I'm sorry for my pronunciations, I'm not very good with names. And there's a lovely picture of Leonora Carrington in Mexico City in the 1960s. So that's the book. The art in it reproduces the tarot cards by the looks of things. So there you go. And then we have this. So what you can't see on camera is this is like a textured velvet feel, like that soft cushion feel. Yeah, and it's kind of a book with a set emboss. So pulling this out, which will be the tarot card deck, and opening this up. Yep, and that same kind of velvet, crushed velvet on the inside there, and a booklet, that's a little white booklet that's got the same moon design and has been really well printed and reproduced. This is, got the Marseille deck printed in here, and this is the lovely Rachel Park that's done this. So I can't wait to read that through, because that'll be fascinating in and of itself. And then we've got the Major Arcana. Here we go. So this is just the first edition, comprises of 1,000 decks sold separately in 400, edged in silver and offered with the Star and IBIS issues of the Tarot of Leonora Carrington. They had the Star, which was a more expensive version of the IBIS. I can't remember off the top of my head what was included, couldn't tell you for the life of me, but that's the deck sold separately, and this is the IBIS. So that's the silver gilt edging, looking good. It is wrapped in cellophane, so let's open this up. No, if I can. Oh, I see, it's there. Now obviously if you wanted to sell these in 10-15 years, don't open them, leave them in the packaging. Not my jam. So I will be opening them so I can show you them. Okay. So first thing I note about these cards is that they've decided to give it a border. They've decided to give it this border. They've put the copyright down the right hand side, Estate of Leonora Carrington /Hars. So yeah, so we've got this border. Personally, I think I would have preferred without the border. I would have probably preferred just the full image, which is probably how they were originally when they found. That is a personal preference. I just think that they would have been a lot more vivid, because they had these beautiful washes. I don't know whether this was oil originally or whether it was an acrylic, but this blue is not showing up too brilliantly on screen, but it's this kind of very beautiful wash, and it looks like she's etched this design in. So it would have been really nice if it was full image, like the Morgan Greer deck. But outside of that, looks really nice. This is very Marseille style. This ball is new, but outside of that, it's pretty Marseille. Has this very typical Leonora Carrington look. Ah, that's interesting. So we've got a date for them here. You can't quite see that. So it says Leonora Carrington 1955. So that's a good placement for dating that. I previously didn't know the date that they were produced. So if these were 1955, that's after the Rider-Waite, but before the Thoth, I think Aleister Crowley's Thoth deck was printed in about the 1960s, after kind of languishing away somewhere, with some poor copies dotting around. So yeah, so this is still quite early. So possible influences would be the Rider-Waite Smith, the Marseille decks, and obviously the Oswald Worth deck. But nice, very slick. I'm liking the colours. I think the colours are very, very bold, very bright. This is the High Priestess. So she's like the Marseille, the Fool is unnumbered. So it'll be interesting to see whether the Death card is untitled, but probably is titled by Fulgur Press because of this added border. High Priestess, we can see some geometry going on here. Yeah, you can pick that up on the camera. And then these anks or unks dotting around the design. The two pillars are slightly different, but this is slightly more Rider-Waite because of the scroll rather than the open book. But this moon is just beautiful, really, really stunning, and it has an Isis crown, which is more Rider-Waite and Marseille. This is the Empress. It's kind of a really, once again, this doesn't show very well on camera, but it's kind of a dark black with a slight hint on the brown spectrum, and then her dress is like pure black, and then she's got teal. It's kind of teal lining. Very nice. Emperor, looking quite grumpy there. It's like a very sad gnome, but look, the very obvious signs of Aries dotting around. The same kind of scepter as in the Rider-Waite, so quite a lot of this is Rider-Waite. I think Leonora Carrington was kind of involved with some of the Golden Dawn members. I'm not sure whether she was actually an initiate of the Golden Dawn, but I think she was kind of definitely friends with some of them. So she might have favoured those, or she might have actually seen the initiate only tarot decks that they had apparently. Hierophant, nice, yeah. Not much to say on this. It's got her style. It's a little bit different from the others. It's like this almost looks like it's wax crayon, or yeah, it's got that kind of texture to it. The lovers seems to have been very cared for. There's an awful lot of attention to detail and kind of perfect lines in that. But very nice. Slightly Marseille based by the looks of things. Chariot. Justice. So what I am noticing is that there's not the overt amount of symbolism that the Rider-Waite has. I think in some of these videos I call it a bit of a shouty deck, because there's an awful lot of symbolism that's just kind of shouting to be heard and almost tells you the meaning of that deck, whereas this is a little bit less overt. She seems to have stripped out some of those overly esoteric symbols from the Rider-Waite, and presented a kind of a mixture of Rider-Waite and Marseille that has less symbolism. This is just stunning. This kind of yellow etching across from this lamp to show the light is really well done. It's just like the detail is beautiful. I don't know how big these are. I imagine these are quite big because of the detail in them, and they've been reproduced to a tarot card size. I should talk about the size. I'll do that at the end, and the card quality and the card stock. I normally do. So the Wheel of Fortune, interesting. She's used the universal hexagram here, which is interesting. And then she's got these three figures dotting around. Lovely. This looks like there's a lot of artwork in it. There's definitely certain cards that seem to have drawn her inspiration and attention more than others. Strength here. Strength has kind of this infinity hat that the Marseille's got a lot of. I don't know whether I can just quickly grab it out for you just so that I can show you the difference. Here we go. And see this figure of 8 hat. I don't think that's in the Rider-Waite. I think she's just got the infinity symbol over her head. Yeah, there you go. So she's favoured some elements of the Marseille. Although for people that read in a kind of a calmoir style, where the directions that these characters are looking, this is going to be an issue because she's looking in a different direction. The Hanged Man, interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just counting the notches on the branches. So in the Marseille, it's 6 on each. It is here faithfully reproduced, 6 on each. So if you see, this is kind of like the 12 disciples and Judas the Iscariot. This is this is fine symbolism. I think she has favoured that interpretation because you can see what looks like little coins that are falling from the pocket. Not sure if that's true or not, but so this might be a kind of definite choice to go down the interpretation of the Hanged Man as Judas in the Bible than in any other route like Odin or various other interpretations. The face looks almost collage-y on this. There you go. It's been really a lot of attention to detail has gone in the face of the Hanged Man, and that interests me. I think you could definitely do a bit of reading about Leonora Carrington from which she's focused more attention on and which ones she's glossed over. So here we go, Death. So it's been numbered in her version. None of them seem to have names, but Fulgur has reproduced the name on it. This is looking like the Marseille to a degree. It's a stripped down Marseille, I suppose. The Rider-Waite would have him on a horseback as a kind of a more knight. So it's more of a faithful reproduction of the Marseille. Temperance. Really interesting. We've got this kind of scratchy wash background again. But pouring water from one jug to another. She's decided to this gold and silver on the jugs. Devil, lot of attention on this card. We've got this very piercing eyed face because it's the only white on the picture, so it really kind of cuts through. Interestingly, the sword here, it looks like the tip's almost going through that wing. On our right hand side, its left hand side, and there is aspects of Leonora Carrington playing with genders in her artwork, and so this devil is not a surprise because not only is it a bit gender bendy in the Marseille and in quite a lot of the traditional tarot, it's been faithfully reproduced here. There's a feminine breast on a kind of a masculine-y card. You've got the female or Venus-y symbol kind of almost draped around his neck, coming down between the breasts there. And could you say one is more masculine than the other? Not really. There's kind of a bit of a question mark there. But yes, very nice card. Definitely had a lot of attention, and this is very stunning. This is very striking. This is the Tower, or Le Maison Dieu, the lightning struck tower, or the House of God, or however else it's called in different tarots. These traditionally look like little yods, little Hebrew yoddy symbols or coins. So there's coins in the Marseille, and they're little yods, as they're called in the Rider-Waite Smith, the Hebrew letter yod. She's reproduced them here as little blocks, like little bricks, which is interesting. It looks very, very striking like that. Very interesting. I'm not quite sure whether she had a reason for that, but that's what strikes me very quickly as soon as I look at that. The star. Now this is one I have seen on the internet. This has been kind of floating around almost as an advertisement for this. And I can kind of see why. This very striking gold and blue, very opposite colours, beautifully etched, very much her style, but the attention, the detail in that is quite stunning. So I can see why that's been everywhere. And then this was on the front cover of the book, the moon. We have the dewdrops raising up to the moon like in the traditional. We've got the two towers left and right, the two dogs, and we've got the crayfish, sometimes seen as the crab or lobster if you want, underneath there. So that's pretty. I mean, what I do notice is this, and I don't know whether it was an idea that she's etched out, or will you focus? There you go. Almost there you go. This kind of crosshatch. It almost reminds me of if that central vertical bar had a P on it. It would almost look like the Christogram, and it's not. It's just three intersecting lines, but I don't know whether that's to show where the center line was while she was designing it, or whether that has more of a story to tell. But it's interesting. It kind of hints at the projectional geometry that Frida Harris used in the Thoth Tarot. But the sun, this works beautifully with the moon. It's got that kind of gold background, but it's got this lavendery lilac in for the rest of it. This is more similar, I would say, to the Rider-Waite Smith, because the sun in the Marseille is two boys playing together, sometimes seen as two brothers, sometimes seen as kind of Gemini, whereas in the Rider-Waite Smith by Pamela Coleman Smith, we've got much more of this boy playing on a horse. So yeah, so certain cards definitely do favour one or the other. I love the sun. I think that's beautiful. This flower of abundance, and these kind of beautiful, they're almost like flowers of life design. Judgement, very striking. It's that kind of almost black, but slightly on the purple end of the spectrum, and then this teal, and that is feeling quite. Yeah, I mean, once again, this is the Marseille, and this is the Rider-Waite Smith. So this is going back to the Marseille more, yeah. I mean, there's very little in it, but it's slightly more Marseille side than the other. So she definitely is picking which one she prefers before she paints it. And the world, now that's quite impressive. Yeah, so you've got the 4 icons around the outside, sometimes seen as seasons, sometimes seen as zodiac, sometimes seen as animal, human, the 4 worlds, and this elongated figure. Leonora Carrington drew very elongated figures. She's got the 2 wands, which makes me think that this is more from the Rider-Waite Smith than it is from the Marseille. Almost looks like it's slightly off centre, with this one being slightly further in than the other 2, but these 2 seem to be squished together more. This border around it is beautiful, though. It almost looks like an illuminated manuscript. And this manic hair almost made me think instantly this was a bird face, but it's not. It's like wind-blown hair. So we're back to the start. So, in terms of card quality and card stock, this is good card stock. I wouldn't say it's the thickest. It's not as thick as my Marseille deck. It's probably the same. Ooh, it's probably ever so slightly thicker than my standard Rider-Waite-Smith deck. Ever so slightly. The silver gilting's done beautifully. It really is almost mirror perfect. The card size is squarer than most tarots. You probably saw it. So, you know, it's the right length, but slightly further on the width. And then comparing it against the Thoth deck, because I like to do this. So it's the same width, and it's just slightly shorter on the height there. So it's on the larger side of tarot. And because it is slightly more square, it's going to be, if you find it tricky to shuffle a standard tarot deck widthways, then this might be a bit of an issue. The card cut, it's very hard to tell which way it's been cut. I think it's been cut from back to front. If that matters to you, that will only matter if you are someone who does specialist shuffles like a Pharaoh shuffle, or are a magician that's looking for an interesting deck to work with. But the quality overall is really good. It's exceptional. The backs are this kind of greyish silver, pretty plain. I wish it had been done with that. Yes, that would have meant that there would have been reversals if it's on one side or whether it's on the other side. You could tell which way it was. But it just, I think it just needed something on that back because it's just so special on the front. So those are my two comments. That I would have loved to have seen this artwork full without this border. I think it would have benefited from being borderless. That would have meant that their stamp would have had to have been inside the artwork, but I would have rathered that to have been fully immersed. The back, I would have liked some sort of design. The quality of them is really good. The colour and the printing is really good. Overall, as a tarot, would it read? Yes, it would, especially if you don't like too much overt symbolism. I think it would read very well. What I think it would be very good for is if you do tarot meditations. And I kind of imagine, and I've kind of got this instinct that Leonora Carrington might have made this for this very purpose. That is an instinct. I will have to research, read the book and find out. But it kind of feels like they're worlds that you want to meditate with and put on a wall, especially if they were large paintings. I can imagine them being part of a path working or working through them. So that's where I think that they'd work beautifully well, is through using them as a meditative aid or a guided meditation point or a focal point or an energy point. If you do like lots of ritual magic, then having them on the walls like Stations of the Sun in not Stations of the Sun, Stations of the Cross in Christianity, like that, but occult, then I think that would work really well. The deck overall I think is very high quality. The actual I can't get it back in. The overall impression of the whole thing, I think, is definitely worth the money. The book itself, I would kind of expect to spend £60-70 on a Fulgur Press book. And I mean, I might be slightly out of date. I'm going back to their Austin Osman spare days. So this might in itself be 60-70 quid. The deck was 30, that leaves about 50 quid for the packaging. So I think it's kind of relatively priced about right. Like I said, there are more expensive tarots. Yes, it is only a major arcana, but you do have the collaboration of several people. So you've got Rachel Pollack, who's written the Little White Book, which I cannot wait to read. And then you've got two people that have helped produce this. So that's the collaboration of 3 people in the book and the deck. So yes, I think it's about worth the money. I think it's about priced exactly right. Should you be going for a second print on the second print list? Yes. I think if you get deck only, if you want to just see the artwork, especially if you want to have a deck for that kind of guided meditation or for that focal point, spiritual focal point. If you want a reading deck, if you want a more divinatory deck, I think it might read a little bit tricky unless you're very intuitive with your reading. Like I said, I'm going to do a play around read for my Patreon subscribers privately, so if you're interested in that, sign over there and I shall give it a try in 3 or 4 different spreads and see which one works best with it. So that is The Tarot of Leonora Carrington by Fulgur Press. Great book, great quality, beautiful attention to detail, and I can kind of see why they've taken the painstaking effort to get those boxes redone and delayed the sending out of them. You will be able to sign up for a second printing of this deck, although this first edition is completely sold out. I will put the link below to where you can sign up for the second edition of the deck, or the book and all that kind of gubbins. So you click below for that. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to my tarot channel, Let's Talk Tarot, and feel free to put any comments you have below, especially if you think I've been relatively unfair with my comments. So that's everything. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope this has intrigued you into Leonora Carrington as a person, as a character, and as an artist, as well as Fulgur Press, and learning a little bit more about them. Take care. See ya.